This meeting is being recorded.
Welcome, everyone. We are super excited to present to you this Greenville, South Carolina 281 unit portfolio deal that we have been working on. First of all, thank you guys for taking the time out of your busy lives to check the deal out. And we're just really excited to break into this market, to break into this deal, and to break into this ownership group. And we're going to go into great detail as to why we're really excited about all those things. So without any further ado, we are going to jump right into it. And then the fun part of the presentation is the basic disclaimer that we are not CPAs, we are not financial advisors. We encourage you to talk to those professionals that are in your corner about this kind of opportunity. We are the real estate investors and the operators of this deal, but you should definitely check into your legal counsel when looking to make an investment like this. So what we're going to go into in this deal is just we're going to start it off with the basics of a syndication, what a multifamily syndication really is and what the benefits are of it. We're going to introduce you to all the key members of the team and the roles that they play. We're going to talk about the property, we're going to talk about the market, and we're going to talk about the overall business plan and try to make that as clear and concise as we can for you. And then at the end of it, we're going to wrap it up by letting you know exactly how to get a hold of us and what the next steps would be if you want to join in with us on this opportunity. So let's jump right into it. And I'm going to pass it over to Joy, and she's going to go over kind of the basics of what a syndication really is.
Jesse, can you share your screen, please?
Sure.
All right, thank you. So hi, everyone. I know for a lot of you, this is probably the first time that you've considered investing in a syndication. So we wanted to take this time to go over exactly what is a syndication and what your role would be as a limited partner. So a real estate syndication is really a way for a group of investors to pool their resources. And those resources could either be financial or their intellectual resources to come together and invest in a large property or project. And the reason for this is that these would be projects or properties that you normally couldn't afford or manage on your own. So both the limited partners and the general partners own a part of the asset and will receive a share of the profit. So what exactly would your role be as a limited partner? Well, as a limited partner, your role would be to contribute capital to the asset. And after that, then you get to take a completely passive role with no daily responsibilities. One of the benefits of being a limited partner is that you don't have to deal with any tenants, termites, or any cleaning up toilets or anything. Your liability would be limited, so you're only liable for the amount of money that you've invested. Any of the business's debts you would not be liable for. And in exchange for that ability to, take your mind off the day-to-day responsibilities or not to have that liability, you do have little control over the business, and you kind of leave that control to those who have expertise and experience with managing an asset. So that would be the general partners. So the general partners, what they do is they find, acquire, and sell the asset. They are contributing their time, their experience, and their expertise in the market and how to manage a multifamily property. And because of this, they are responsible for the day-to-day operations of asset management. So all those things that you may not necessarily want to deal with, the general partners have experience in dealing with that. They also take on the full liability of any of the business's debt. And then they also have full control of the business. So in the next slide, we go over why would you want to invest in a syndication? So one of the top reasons to invest in a syndication is really the cash flow. With you don't have the day-to-day responsibility, but one of the benefits is that you do have a passive income stream, especially in this asset class that's really resilient to recession. We know that housing is in high demand and that people will always need housing as a resource. So this is a resource that can continue to grow in the future. We also take advantage of any equity and appreciation. So there's two ways that we can force appreciation into a property, especially for value add opportunities like the one that we're presenting today. We can force appreciation by improving the property, and then also market appreciation, that as the market increases and rents grow, then that would also increase the value of the property as well. There are some tax advantages, which I will, like Jesse said, please talk to your CPA or your tax people to really understand some of the tax advantages that you can take. But one thing that we do plan to do, and we'll talk about later in this presentation, is a cost segregation. And that will help decrease your overall tax burden that limited partners will also be able to take advantage of. One of the other benefits is leverage. And usually when people think about leverage, they think about borrowing money. But in addition to that, you also can leverage the capital of other investors just like yourself, and then also the skills and experience of the general partners. And so this allows you to really take advantage and take the opportunity to acquire a property that you probably wouldn't be able to do if you were just investing by yourself. And then finally, you have the ability to change the lives of the people who live on the property that we're acquiring. Whenever investors come and they invest in a multifamily community, you're really investing in the community around the property as well. So next slide. So in addition to that, I know this is probably the first time that you may have met or come to understand who WealthCare Capital Partners are. And so WealthCare Capital Partners is really a real estate investment company that's focused on educating and helping healthcare providers such as yourself passively invest in real estate syndications. So Jesse, Christian, and I, we're all active healthcare providers. That's our day job. And we found real estate a few years ago, and we just really realized that it's a great opportunity to achieve time freedom, which we define as having the freedom to spend your time however you want it. And we want to help other healthcare providers do this by passively building and growing your wealth. And we do this by helping educating you on how to invest in real estate syndications, but then also connecting you to really good investment opportunities that are acquired and managed by experienced partners who have a proven track record of success, just like Aaron and Brian here today. And so through this process, you can really leverage, the knowledge, expertise, and relationships that we have within the multi-family apartment space. So with that, I will pass it on to Jesse to introduce the rest of our team.
Absolutely. Thank you, Joy. And like Joy said, we all are active full-time healthcare professionals. Joy is a pharmacist. Christian, her husband, who will be on with us in a little bit, they are passing off duties with the kids right now. So I think Christian's going to come on here in a second. Christian is a pediatric dentist. He owns his own practice. They live in the Bay Area in California. And I am a cardiac sonographer or an echocardiographer. I run a mobile imaging company here in Denver, Colorado. We have been teamed up for about the past 2 years investing in multifamily. Our holdings so far have been in Arizona, and we've had a lot of success there. Some of you might have been on our last Tucson property, and if you've looked at some of the recent updates, things are going quite well there. We love that market. We want to continue buying there, but it has become a little bit challenging with all of the investors that are starting to operate in Tucson. And we'll get to Greenville here shortly. And we see a lot of the similarities in the Greenville market that really drew us to Tucson. So we are all very family oriented. And as Joyce said, this idea of time freedom for us, we love what we get to practice in medicine, but we don't want to be a slave to the time clock anymore. And we want to be able to choose who we're going to work for, when we're going to work for them, and in what capacity we're going to do that, and not have that be the mortgage payment coming from working those jobs. So that is what kind of spawned us to create this company and really try to present opportunities to other healthcare workers. So we are super excited to bring you guys along for this. Now I'm going to turn it over to Arn and Brian now to talk about their roles.
Yeah. Hey, Jesse, thank you so much for including us in this presentation. And I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I was basically born and raised in the Bay Area. Sold real estate on the San Francisco Peninsula out of an office in Menlo Park, California for about 35 years. Moved to Greenville, South Carolina, 2014. Started investing in multifamily real estate with my partner, Brian. We've completed 3 syndication deals in Greenville, and I'm also a co-GP in about 5 or 6 other multifamily syndication deals in the Carolinas. So over 44 years of experience in Greenville, or 44 years of experience in real estate. And as an interesting side note, for 28 years, I lived about half a block away from where Christian and Joy now live in San Carlos. So lived in the same house 28 years, and it just turns out it's literally down the street from where Christian and Joy live. So we have that kind of San Carlos connection, which is great. Let me turn it over to my partner, Brian, who manages, operates the multifamily properties we buy, and is also a Greenville resident.
Yeah, thanks, On. So my name's Brian Walsh. I'm originally from Warwick, Rhode Island. I've been living in Greenville, South Carolina for 15 years. And 13 years ago, we started a residential property management company here in Greenville. We started with obviously 0 doors, and we've built it up over the years to now we're currently managing 420 doors as of today. They're a combination of single family and multifamily properties. Our office is all of 5 minutes away from these 2 assets, which is extremely convenient. We're definitely the local boots on the ground here. In addition to your traditional property management, our company has a maintenance division where we facilitate all the turnover repairs and remodeling. So we have a gigantic network of local vendors and contractors, as well as our own in-house team. And this is what we do all day, every day, is we, manage, remodel, turnover units. We're heavily involved in the rental market. It's just what we do all day, every day here in Greenville. And we don't leave Greenville. We just specialize in Greenville County, and we do not leave Greenville County. So, and Brian, as Ard mentioned, sorry,
Brian, how many vacancies do you have over that 420 units?
Yeah, so you can go to our website right now. It's progressivepropertiesofgreenville.com, and you'll see that we have 1 listing out of 420 units. It's just unbelievable. It just we really don't have enough inventory here, right? And there's just so much demand. Every time we get a listing, I kind of joke around with people, if they don't know any better, they might come to our website and think like we don't, we manage no properties, right? Because there's literally nothing there right now. There's 1 vacancy, which is incredible. So needless to say, we have a high occupancy rate here. And as Arn mentioned, just to kind of wrap up, a few years ago, Arn and I partnered up and started getting into the multifamily space together, which has been really exciting, and really enjoyed all the benefits of the economies of scale that brings along with it. And we've done 3 deals together to this point, and excited about working on this new deal, this 281 units. And Arn might speak a little bit to Reed, our other partner that's not on the webinar tonight.
Yeah. So Jesse, so if you want me to talk a little bit about Reed. So I've known Reed for about 3-4 years, invested with him in a deal in Austin. He kind of focused in Austin and San Antonio markets, did very well, took many deals full cycle. I joined a mentoring program that he run, a very small, intimate mentoring program. We became friends, and he helped us on our first two acquisitions in Greenville. And for the last year and a half, we have been looking at larger assets in Greenville. We've been particularly focused on this particular submarket in Greenville. We made an offer maybe a year ago on the two properties next door. About a month ago, we made an offer on a property across the street. So it's really a market that we know, and we've been hunting for an asset for some time. Reed is a nationally recognized syndication specialist. As the slide says, over 650 million in assets under management, which I think is about 3,000 units. We've worked together before. Reed was going to kind of take the lead on this deal, use his expertise in these large-scale multifamily deals. Brian and I know the Greenville market. We know how to get things done. And so we're going to kind of execute the game plan with Reed as leadership, but we'll be the people responsible for kind of the execution of the game plan. And I can tell you, Reed, Brian and I are excited to have the opportunity to work with Reed. And I think we've got a really good team put together to really maximize the performance of this asset.
Absolutely. That's why we are so drawn to the team that is already in place, with Reed being the nationally recognized syndicator and having taken several properties full cycle. And he got started, I don't know if he got started in Austin or in Phoenix, but those are the two markets that he has been in prior to the runs that they have been on. And the only other two markets that he has been really playing in, and now he's branching off into Greenville. So that it just goes to show that there's an alignment, and we see a lot of the same things as Reed. And when I met Arn probably about a year ago at a conference, we just kind of hit it off and knew that we wanted to work together in some kind of capacity, and have been going back and forth on how to make that work. So we're so excited about putting this team together, and really think that we can that this will be the first of many properties. So could you also talk a little bit about the property management company, Eastland?
Sure. Eastland Property Management is located in Greenville, South Carolina. The owner of the company, the lead in the company, is a gentleman named Mike Holmes. And he's probably been doing property management on these large scale assets in Greenville and elsewhere in the Southeast for probably 25 years. And over the last year and a half, as Reed, Brian, and I have hunted a larger asset, Mike has been there helping us, offering his practical property management experience. Many of the properties we've looked at, he had managed at one time in the past. He knows a lot of the owners. So he has a good knowledge of Greenville and what the properties are. I have a few friends who do syndications in Greenville and are quite successful. They use Mike for property management. And one of our other partners on this deal, who's raising capital for us, used to own and operate assets in Greenville from 2014 to 2019. He used Mike Holmes of Eastland Management. So he's going to be great. Brian and Mike are going to kind of work closely together to kind of get things done. And, we're glad we have Mike on the team. Interesting little side note, way back in the day, Mike actually lived at the Bonita property as a young man. And so he's lived there. He knows the property well, as he knows all the other assets in Greenville.
I don't think you could speak to a property any better than if you actually lived on the property years ago. So
It was a while back, but still, yes, he knows the property very well. Yep.
So yeah, Arn, keep it going. We're just going to jump right into the property overview.
Sure. So they're 1970s assets. They're located in a very solid middle income area. And average household income in the area is probably 75 to 80,000. Median home price within 3 miles of these assets is over 400,000. As Brian mentioned, his office is about 1.5 miles from these properties, and I live about 3 miles from these properties. So it's a market we know well. We currently own an asset about 1 mile from this property. So we actually own other multifamily in this area. We believe the units are slightly rented under market, and with the renovation plan, we can bump rents significantly. And the projected rents are still affordable given Greenville County's median income of over $85,000 a year. So there's room. Residents in the area have sufficient income to pay increased rents. And we just rented a unit down the street for $13.75. And so you can tell we've got quite a bit of room to be able to increase rents. And then maybe I'd ask Brian to kind of comment on the due diligence activities he oversaw in terms of the inspections of the property and any comments he may have about the asset and so forth.
Sure, absolutely. So last week we completed the majority of the due diligence on site last week. We had roughly about 25 to 30 people there for a couple of days. Myself, Arn, Reed, and team member his flew in, and then so basically, like, we did, you know, what you would think. We brought in a roofer, plumber, electrician. We had a site engineer out there. We walked, Eastland brought in some teams, and we walked each and every unit at both properties. Literally did a physical inspection of every single room in every single unit in every single building. So we were there for 2 days and just crawling over every square inch of it, inside, outside, looking at everything. And the good news is we didn't find anything that we weren't anticipating for this age of a property. Obviously, if you look at the underwriting, we have, I think it's approximately $5 million for capital improvements budgeted. And based upon what we saw, we're going to be in great shape. If anything, you know, hopefully we'll have a little cushion there. Yeah. And then in addition to that too, we actually did a lease audit. So each and every single one of the leases was reviewed, and you know, make sure everything lines up with the rent roll that we've been provided by the current owner. So you know, found a few minor discrepancies, but nothing to be concerned about or worried about. So again, overall, just to summarize, we did a, you know, extremely thorough due diligence, and no major surprises whatsoever. Actually, even very little minor surprises. We kind of just found what we were hoping we'd find, you know. So that was extremely promising. And then if you'd like, I could jump right into kind of the basics of the business plan itself, the value add proposition here. So if that works, is that good for you, Jesse?
That definitely works.
Yeah. Okay. So this is kind of like your classic value add property. Again, this is kind of like what we do all day, every day. And it works, right? Like, again, Arn mentioned, we own a property mile and a half down the road, and we actually own another one probably 2 miles away, and we're like doing this right now to these assets, and it's working. So we're extremely confident in our business plan and what our the level of rehabs that we're going to do are going to produce the rents that we're projecting. And essentially the exterior of the property, we're going to go in and we're going to rebrand the property. We're going to repaint the exterior of Calabria 100% over at the Benito. The siding is actually only a year old, so we're going to keep that. We're going to repaint the shutters, the front doors, new awnings on the welcome center. We're going to remodel the welcome center, really freshen them up. They're very dated looking right now. Get new furniture, upgrade the pool decks and areas, new furniture out there, that type of thing. And then there's a lot of opportunity in the on the property, especially at the Benito. There's a pretty large space that we're probably going to do like a pickleball court, update grilling areas so that, you know, it's just a lot more inviting and welcoming for the tenants. And then definitely like some, you know, landscape improvements. Those are pretty standard and easy. So we definitely want like the, you know, when prospective tenants pull in there for them to be excited and, you know, feel like the property's clean and safe and somewhere that they want to live. So I think that's going to be a pretty, you know, a good amount of work, but easy to achieve. And then in regards to the interiors, the plan is to do this organically as tenants move out. Or, you know, we're not going to go in there and try to empty out a whole entire building and remodel a building, you know, for the fun of it, right? But when tenants' leases are up, if they choose not to renew their lease, and they move out, then we're going to go in, and the plan is to do like, you know, what we consider like a platinum upgrade, platinum remodel, which is going to be granite countertops, stainless steel appliances, new cabinetry, new flooring where needed, which would be the majority of it, update the bathrooms, light fixtures, faucets, that type of thing. Kind of your standard interior, you know, cosmetic upgrade. The floor plans are actually really great, so we don't have to do any work with the floor plans. They actually literally all the units, the floor plans are perfectly fine. So in general, that's the overall business plan for the property.
That's awesome. Thank you for the description on that. And the current owner has actually done the level of renovation that we are planning on doing on, I believe it's 16 of these units already. And the rent that they're getting for that is $13.52 or $13.59, as it shows on the screen here. And in our projected underwriting, we have those in at $13.50. Like Arn said previously, at the other property they have just down the street, about a mile down the street, they're getting $13.75, and I believe that's even less of a premium turn than this. If I'm correct, there's not granite in there. So these are the way that these guys have underwritten this deal is, in my opinion, extremely conservative, and looking at 3% rent growth year after year, when last year alone, Greenville had 15% rent growth. So we would never project anything like that moving forward, but we know with the supply and demand shortage that's where there's so much upside in this deal. And what we already have in the underwriting has already been proven. So we're not trying to test the market or anything. So it just gives us so much security and safety in actually doing this business plan, which these gentlemen are already doing all over town. So we're going to move right into the market overall, and Arn's going to talk about the market even more and kind of what drew him to Greenville as a resident and kind of all the booming nature of the town. So take it away, Arn.
Yeah. So, so moved to Greenville about 8 years ago. And on our first visit, we kind of recognized kind of the vitality and growth in the market. We felt kind of the energy and the optimism. And now that we've lived here 8 years, it's kind of exceeded our expectations. So downtown Greenville is the cultural and economic center of the upstate region of South Carolina. Downtown Greenville is a fabulous place, and it's really why we moved to Greenville. Excellent dining, maybe 80, 100 restaurants downtown. Excellent foodie scene, ranked #1 under the radar Southern food destination. We have a Broadway caliber performing arts center, and Brian will love this. Our minor league baseball field is a replica of historic Fenway Park. with the Green Monster and all of that. In addition, there are several large parks, Falls Parks, and recently opened Unity Park in Greenville. We have major festivals downtown in Greenville, free music 2 or 3 times a week in Greenville. So it's a great place to live. We wanted a very walkable downtown with some historic neighborhoods around, and we actually live about a mile and a half from downtown Greenville. So it's a great place to live. Many people from the Northeast, particularly Boston and New York, are relocating to downtown. And of course, they're bringing their money, their equity, and their expectations about a certain kind of lifestyle to downtown Greenville, which of course then translates into lots of service and hospitality jobs for residents in the Greenville area. Then from there, you add in BMW and Michelin, and all the smaller manufacturing companies that support those 2 major auto manufacturers. Every all-wheel drive, every X car that BMW builds is made in Greenville, Spartanburg. So it's quite amazing to think about it. So we have a strong manufacturing sector of the economy. In addition, we're located on I-85 between Atlanta and Charlotte. So there's a lot of logistics and transportation type jobs. So varied economy, which you want. We have various sectors that all do fairly well. Large scale investment continues in Greenville, and it's kind of booming, population's growing, jobs are coming in, and there's simply not enough housing, especially at the affordable level, which is what these assets would provide. Nice housing, 12, 13, 1400 a month. So Greenville's been great. It's growing. It's going to continue to grow. When people come to Greenville, they kind of understand there's a little bit of magic going on here. So great place to live, great place to invest.
Awesome. We won't go into all the stats. If anyone wants to talk about any of the stats, and it's obviously in the pitch deck that we sent out and that we're going through here, and we can always sit down and go through that stuff with you. Christian, welcome to the call. You pass off the kids' duties over to Joy.
Yep. Teeth are brushed and flossed, and I don't know. They're having a little playtime, a little story time. But welcome everyone. I'm going to be taking a little bit of time now just to talk about the 3 different types of equity structures that we're going to be offering for this deal. And so to start, first we'll start with Class A, and this is essentially your pure cash flow class. And so this is for the investors who want steady, consistent cash flow. And what we're going to offer is a steady 11% return. 7% of that 11%, it's going to be paid out every quarter immediately after we close. So we're looking at closing, I think, beginning of September. So I think that'll put us right around January for when you can expect checks or money to be sent. But after that, when we sell the investment, though, the remaining 4%, that difference between the 11% return and the 7% pref, that will accrue, and it's going to be paid out first. However, for Class A investors, there's a catch. Class A investors, they're maxed out at 11% total return. So those investing in Class A, they don't get to participate in any of the upside if we sell it and smash it out of the park. But we're only limiting the Class A investment to only 30% of the total equity. There's only $5 million allocated to this Class A. The minimum investment for this class, it's actually now set to $50,000. Initially, it was set at $75,000, which I think you'll see in the investment deck. And I think because of the interest, to allow more investors to participate in this class, that has been reduced now to $75,000 since this has been pretty popular already. And I think as beginning of last week, we've already gotten quite a response in terms of the soft commitments. So if you're interested, please register your investments as soon as possible, since this is a first come, first serve opportunity. And then moving on to the next class. So the second class, this is Class B. This is going to be your common equity class. And the minimum investment is going to be $50,000 into this class. And we're going to be offering a 7% pref with a 70-30 split of profits upon sale. And then throughout the hold, Class B investors will sit behind the Class A investors, and whatever cash flow is left over after paying out Class A, then it'll be paid out to Class B. So we don't really anticipate on hitting the 7% pref cash flow throughout the hold, but our average cash flow is pretty close to that over the 5 years at 6.5%. And then that difference between the projected 6.5% and the 7% pref is going to be accrued just like for Class A and then caught up upon sale. So year one, we're looking at like just under 2.9%, year two, about 4.8%, year three, 7.6, and so on. And so when you take that 5-year average, it does come out to about 6.5%. The final class, or the last class, Class C, these are the investors who really want to contribute a large amount of money. And so the minimum amount to participate in Class C is going to be $500,000. And when you participate in this class, there will be slightly better returns compared to Class B. And that you'll see because Class C investors are going to get an 8% preferred return. And instead of that 70-30 split that you see with Class B, Class C investors will get an 80-20% or 80-20 split on the back end. And so Class C investors, they will sit equally with Class B investors just behind Class A. And then just to kind of summarize, as far as for the just for the three classes, Class A shares, they're going to be more for investors who want a higher, more regular and consistent quarterly cash flow and a more predictable return. So Class A shares, they've got much lower risk and hence the lower returns. But with Class A, they're much safer. And those shares will sit directly behind the debt in our capital stack. Class B and Class C shares, they sit equally with each other, but they do sit behind the Class A shares. And Class B and Class C shares, those are going to be for investors who will accept less cash flow in return for hopefully an anticipated higher return. These returns, however, they are going to be dependent on execution of our business plan, our ability to increase the NOI, future cap rates in which we sell, and market values. But the priority of the cash flow, it's going to be as follows. The debt, it's going to get paid first, and then Class A will get paid their 7% pref with the 4% additional at the sale for the total of their 11%. And then Class B and C will get paid next with whatever is left over.
Awesome. Thank you, Christian. So that pretty much wraps up. These are the basic returns that Christian just went over. Again, if anyone wants to go into more detail with us, feel free to hop on a call or send an email. Basically, what we are looking to do, especially with the Class B and Class C shares, is say over the course of this hold, which is projected 5 years, we want a 2x equity multiple, which means we are planning on doubling our money in 5 years. So I think just to simplify things, that's what we are anticipating doing, and we have underwritten to do that again with conservative underwriting. So we feel strong in being able to hit those projections. So that's going to bring us to the end of it. So basically, if this is something that interests you, we would love to chat with you more about it. We are going to open up the funding of this after the private placement memorandums or the PPMs go out. That should happen the beginning of August. And then the funding will begin middle of August. I think we're shooting for August 15th. And that will wrap up no later than August 30th. And this, once the funding opens up, it will be a first come, first serve priority. So if this is something that you're interested in, I would urge you to hop on a call with us, and we can kind of go through the next steps from there, and then looking to close early September. And like I said at the beginning, we couldn't really be more excited about how everything has come together for this deal. And we are so excited for us to invest in this personally. The ownership team is putting in a large amount of capital ourselves because we believe in the asset, we believe in the market, we believe in the deal and the ownership team. And we would love to have you guys alongside with us. So thank you guys again for taking time out of your lives to spend with us going over the deal, and we hope to talk to you soon. So thank you.